Shemai friendly eye, and welcome back to my channel. My name's CaitlinAnwyn for anyone who's new here, and let's get back into building in Planet Zoo. And I'm continuing the Tudor pub Chimpanzee Habitat today. If you haven't seen the exterior building video, I will link that up in the iCards. But I'm going to do the interior today and try and make this a proper habitat for the chimpanzees. I knew I wanted to put like benches, like tables and chairs in this habitat, so I just laid out big square of pathway using the align to grid with the pathway to allow me to place the benches down onto the floor, because usually you need a path for that. And I'm starting off with the bar itself. I used the filters and selected Climbable in the properties tab because I wanted to make like the interior of the bar actually climbable for them, and I want to fill in their climbing requirement. And even though I used a lot of the classic style items for the building itself, I used quite a lot of the African style items for the interior of the pub, so it's like a mashup of the two styles. I wanted the chimps to be able to climb over everything like they were actually raiding the bar. Because this whole build was inspired by the fun fact for the chimpanzees. They enjoy drinking fermented sap collected in leaves, and once they've found the source of the fermented sap, which is kind of like alcohol, they will often like return back to where they found it last. So I thought that'd be a fun habitat to build for them. And I know I said in the last build video that I was going to pick a name suggestion for the pub from the comments of that last video, but I'm actually recording this a little earlier than planned, and I haven't actually posted that video yet, so by the time I'm recording this you haven't seen that video yet. Oops. So instead, the title of this video is going to be the name suggestion, and I will pin the comment that was randomly picked. I've got a few things I need to do next week, so I kind of had to record a little bit earlier than usual. And while I'm sort of like talking about behind the scenes sort of things, I might also not be posting next week. I'm not sure yet. I might have a few things to do that might stop me being able to use the PC. And I really like these jars. These come from the Indian style, but I wanted to give a little bit of lighting over the top of this bar, and the jar lights just look so pretty. And I used the base game ropes as well, because I'm still trying to make this base game only, so even the interior is going to be base game only. I'm just not going to stick with the same like classic style. I've also started to bring in the blue colour from the colour scheme of the whole zoo, which is a cream, a beige, a brown and that blue. I also wanted to build shelves as decorations for behind the bar too, so I used the floor pieces to try to evenly space out the shelves, and then used the climbing objects in the enrichment tab. I can't remember what that one's actually called. I wanted to use the climbing objects so I could guarantee that they could climb up the shelves, but I did find something when I was recording the Pretties. That'll be at the end of the video. They kind of glitch through this wall back here, so they will climb up these shelves, but they just kind of pop through the wall, which is a little odd. And I thought it would also be funny to put some of the bananas on the shelves too, because these are like monkeys, chimpanzees, so not only do they like the the fermented sap in the bottles, they can enjoy some bananas too. And even though I tried to evenly space out the shelves, I ended up messing around with them and not having them completely evenly spaced then, just so the bottles would fit better. And I wanted to put some lighting on the ceiling, so I've just used more industrial style lights. They don't actually provide a lot of light in the building itself, which is kind of disappointing, thinking how big this looks. This looks like it could actually light up the place quite well, but lighting in Planet Zoo doesn't quite work like how lighting in The Sims works. The building's not the brightest in here. It does get some sunlight in, but that doesn't really light it up either. So for the majority of this, I do use the torch trick. If you press L on the keyboard, your screen will illuminate. It's like you're holding a torch. I wanted to do some like entry tables for the entrance of the pub. This would normally have like leaflets advertising nearby attractions or experiences, and where you would be like greeted and led to your table. And for the bay window part, I wanted to make this like a feature space, so I thought I would make this a stage. And I also of course wanted to make this climbable as well, so I've placed these Africa pieces down, and I really like the patterns on these. It ties in with the bar as well and allows me to recolor them into having like a little pop of blue as well to keep with the color scheme. Not all pubs really have stages, but I thought this could be like a karaoke type of thing. Because I sort of had karaoke's in mind for this, I wanted to build a mic stand for the center. Maybe this could be like for any sort of performances, like comedy nights or something. I just thought it'd be a bit of fun to try and give a little bit more dimension instead of the whole floor be the same level. And I used a gutter piece for the microphone stand. It looks like a mic could actually fit in the gutter piece. And now onto building some tables for like the restaurant side of the pub. And all these African wood pieces have the climbable tag on them as well, so the chimpanzees can climb. That is my dog. I really like these wood pieces because they feel quite rustic and natural, because they're not really like straight lines. They've got like wavy, naughty pieces in them, like actual wood pieces. And I really wanted some round tables for inside the bar area, so like not in the conservatory. And my usual round trick wasn't working because the rotation point of the wood piece was on an edge, not in the center, so it was a little more tricky to try and get an even circle. But this feels really rustic and I'm just gonna go with it. I made it as round as I possibly could, and it works as a table when I have like the chairs and that around it too. I still couldn't help but like compare building this to what it would be like building a pub in The Sims 4. Could have just clicked on any chair I wanted to in The Sims. Was just like, oh, I sort of miss building in The Sims, and then I sort of go, nah, this is so much more fun. I get to use a ladder as a back of a chair. And I'm not sure whether I quite got the spacing right between the chairs and the tables. I was thinking maybe it could be more of a thing where like the chairs are untucked at the moment and then you'd pull them in as you sit down. But I was hoping to give the chimpanzees a little bit more space to be able to climb around on these objects. Decorating the whole interior is all of the chimpanzees' climbing requirement. I do actually manage to get that to 100% for the chimpanzees. Unfortunately, it's like very barely the minimum requirement for the minimum amount of chimpanzees in a habitat. So if you want more chimpanzees in your habitat than the minimum requirements, I don't think the climbing requirement would be fully at 100%. And in this corner by the TV, I wanted to give more of like a lounge feel to this area, like a little closed off corner. Really wanted to put some sofas in there, so this part could be for people to sit down and watch some sport, or in this case read about the chimpanzees. And I still wanted them to be climbable as well, so I was using the wood pieces with the climbable tag, and this is giving me flashbacks of memories as a child falling asleep on these at weddings. So like when all the music came on and everyone started like dancing and partying at the end of a wedding, I was, I don't know, under 10 at least, fast asleep on the sofas. It's like my grandfather's coat or something over me, just fast asleep with the music blaring. That probably says a lot about me. I was not on the dance floor dancing, playing around with the rest of like my cousins or anything. No, I was fast asleep. And the fabric piles from the Indian style as well. The Indian style came in very handy for the interior with the bottles, the bananas, and the rugs. I used a lot of Indian style for the interior. Oh, and the lights. But the fabric piles were really handy because I could merge them into the wood seat to make it look like little pillows. There's not a lot of artwork in this game. I guess Planet Zoo never really had the interior decorations in mind when they were adding in these assets, but you can play around so much in this game that you can make picture frames yourself with the wood pieces that I used on the exterior of the pub, the Tudor paneling. So I used the same Tudor paneling, but I made them into picture frames. And I really like the Indian style pictures, but then I found these chimpanzee wall decorations, sculptures, I'm not sure, and I wanted to make these the main artwork of the pub, and recolored the chimpanzee sculpture so it would fit in with the colour scheme. And I think this is really fun. I made 2 different sizes because the chimpanzee shapes didn't quite fit in the same size frame, but that kind of varied it up a bit too. I really like these, and I like these so much I was going to put them on that wall by the stage, but I like them so much that I wanted them by the bar. I always keep in mind what kind of thumbnails I'm going to be making with these, and I knew the bar and like the tables and the lounge part was the money shot. So I wanted the chimpanzees artwork to be over there, but you know, I'm talking about this like I don't know what the thumbnail is because I haven't made the thumbnail yet. I don't make thumbnails until I've recorded and edited videos, because thumbnails are my favourite part, so I leave it till last. It's like having a bag of sweets and leaving like your favourite flavour till last. I leave thumbnails till last because it's my favourite part. And now onto like the habitat itself, I guess. So I've done all of the climbing requirement. I wanted to decorate the habitat around the pub as well. Thought it'd be nice to add a little river, so it's like a little riverside pub. I had made this like dent more to try and flatten the area out, and I just thought this would be a perfect little spot for a river or a little canal alongside the pub. I didn't expect them to want as much plant coverage as they did. It was quite interesting. I didn't want to cover too much of the pub itself because guests can actually walk around the back of this and see like where the conservatory is and across the front of the pub, so I didn't want to cover the pub too much. I just used these bushes, I think, and lowered them into the ground to make them look like grassier areas. I think the usual grass that I really liked adding in these habitats was not in the category for the chimpanzees. And for education, I'm using the wooden education boards that I had by the lion habitat. Don't really like putting education boards on the glass barriers. I like them to be freestanding when I've got the glass barriers, because really you want the guests to see as much as they can through the barriers, and putting the frames there kind of stops guests from seeing through the glass. So I'd rather have like the freestanding education boards. But yeah, that's pretty much it. That is the chimpanzees pub completed. I just want to show you how the chimpanzees sort of get around the interior of the pub now as well, so they can like jump and climb on lots of different things. It's a little glitchy, like I mentioned earlier. They kind of glitch through one of the walls when they climb up the back of the bar where the bottles and bananas are. But other than that, they're pretty happy with this habitat. They can climb over everything. The climbing requirement is at 100%, so that's fine. And yeah, I had a lot of fun building this. I had to get really creative with some things, like especially the tables and chairs. That was a little trickier to build in this game, I guess. But it was a lot of fun. Not your typical climbing structure in a habitat, because everything is made to look like pub bar items. So it's not like the typical climbing thing for the chimpanzees, but it all works perfectly fine. So like I mentioned in the start of the video, there might not be videos out next week, but I will be doing a video on Saturday, so look forward to that one. And it will be a cheetah habitat, so there's your little sneak peek. So if you stick around to the end, I tend to give you a little sneak peek for the next video. Yeah, I'm gonna leave it off there. Let me know what you think. What should I have added into this bar that I missed out? Because I feel like I'm missing something, maybe. I don't know. What should I have added into this that I didn't? And if you enjoyed the video, smash that like button. And if you haven't already and you would like to, it would mean a lot to me if you could subscribe and hit the bell to be notified whenever I upload a new video. I upload on Wednesdays and Saturdays. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a wonderful day, and I will see you next time. Goodbye!